and welcome to our demonstration today of the AP Stylebook Online. We're doing this targeting the special needs of college libraries. We know that you have some different kinds of questions than a usual user, so we're going to show a little bit of the product itself, but we'll also spend a lot of time talking about how we make sure that this works for you and your patrons. I'm Colleen Newvine. I'm product manager of the AP Stylebook, and joining me today is Chris Kohick. Chris has run the website for AP Stylebook for about 20 years, and he's also running the e-commerce side of the business and takes good care of our college libraries on concurrent user licenses, among other things. For those of you who may not know the history of AP Stylebook, let me start with just a quick overview. I imagine librarians, probably more than anybody, are familiar with the concept of style guides and reference materials. But just for a little background, the AP Stylebook started as an internal reference for the Associated Press. We are a worldwide news organization, so we wanted to make sure that our newsmen, and back then they were newsmen, all around the world were writing and distributing content consistently. So back in the 50s, we came up with what by our current standards might look more like a pamphlet, guiding them to the proper use of words and phrases and some of our news standards. And slowly word got out to other news organizations that we had put this together. And since the AP is a not-for-profit news cooperative, serving other news organizations who not only take our content and at that point we're putting it in their newspapers, they also send their news into us. There was an incentive for everybody to use consistent styling, that we would capitalize things the same and use hyphens and the same styling of words. Do we abbreviate? Do we spell out 1 through 9? So the Stylebook has grown and grown to the point that now it's more than 600 pages, including the index that we added a few years back. But in recent years, the biggest product has become this one that we're going to show you today. That's AP Stylebook Online. It has all of the content that's in the printed book, but it also has a number of online-only features. And so that makes it a more robust and comprehensive resource. Probably the most important thing that I think makes it easier to use is the search function. Back when I was in journalism school, understanding the organization and layout of the Stylebook was really important. You needed to know kind of the way AP Stylebook editors thought. So for example, if you're looking for our entry on bulleted lists, you'd need to know that you don't look up bullets, you'd look up in the punctuation chapter our explanation of bullets and hyphens. Now you can simply go to the search and look up bullets and easily find our entry on lists and bulleted lists. So it's much easier, obviously, to find what you're looking for. A couple of the other things that are really helpful about AP Stylebook Online as a user, let me pop back out to the main page. We have really easy ways to see what's new. So if you learned AP Style in your introduction to journalism or copy editing class, and you're wondering if that rule or entry that you memorized is still the same, you can easily go here to the home page and click on new entries and see what's changed. These are new entries. They're listed chronologically, and you can see the date that they were added. You can also go back out and see what's changed. So these would be entries we already had, but that something was switched out in those entries. So, one of the ones that got a lot of conversation was the spelling of Kiev recently. So those are some things that are easier in terms of navigating the AP Stylebook Online, and the fact that it's updated throughout the year. So the print Stylebook comes out once a year right after Memorial Day. Once we send it to the printer in March, if a new term comes into use in the news, or there's a topic that we feel like we need some guidance on, you're going to have to wait until next year, May. Here we have the ability to keep up with ever-shifting news and politics to help provide that newer guidance. In addition, we have some added online-only features. One of the most popular of those is Ask the Editor. This has many times more questions and answers than there are actually entries in Stylebook Online. So in addition to what's already in the Stylebook, users are able to ask a question either for clarification, they'd like to find out how to apply an existing rule, or maybe there's something where we don't have any guidance at all and they'd like to get our help to see how it might apply to what they're writing or editing. So you can see just today, I'm scrolling down, these are answers from November 18th, and then several from November 16th and November 15th. This is a really active resource with lead editor Paula Froke answering questions that come in from users. In addition, the pronunciation guide is a list of words and phrases that are in the news, and we include both the phonetic spelling, and then if you click through, you can also listen now.
Beto O'Rourke.
Those are recorded by our colleagues down at the Washington Broadcast Division of the AP. Let me go back out. Additionally, I'll show you topical guides are guides that are done to pull together both AP style and sort of background information that you might need to know to cover something like, for example, hurricane season. We'll include here our definition of hurricanes, and you can scroll down for that. And then it also includes some background on major hurricanes that have happened in the United States. So those are some major features of AP Stylebook Online. And now I'll hand over to Chris to talk about how the concurrent user license works, because I think that would probably be the way that most libraries would be interested in subscribing to Stylebook Online.
Thank you, Colleen. My name is Chris Kovic, and as Colleen noted at the beginning of the presentation, I am essentially the webmaster for the site, including the e-commerce component. And about, I don't know, 10 to 15 years ago, we were approached by a number of college libraries who were interested in a solution for AP Stylebook Online, which wouldn't require them to distribute hundreds or thousands of logins for individual students and staff. And so we came up with what we call a concurrent user site license. And this provides the ability for your electronic or reference team to provide a custom URL that is accessible based upon the broadcast IP range for your library and university. So for instance, apstylebook.com/Boston University could be established for that university. And then your library or IT team could provide us with the broadcast IP range for your location. And then anyone coming from within your broadcast range would have access instantaneously to to the content as you see here from Colleen, but they would not have to log in. So it's a much more simpler solution, especially for universities and libraries. Colleen, would it be possible to allow me to share my screen? If you can turn off sharing for yours. And while we're going through that, I'll point out a couple other things. We also provide the ability to have off-campus access. And if you have a VPN, virtual privacy network, we can include the IP range or static IP address for that particular, for your VPN. And then anyone who's off campus or remote but is logging in via the VPN would have access to this content as well. Additionally, we do quite a bit of work with proxy servers and VPNs, and we specifically with Easy Proxy, which I know a lot of colleges use. We have detailed instructions as to how to set up your stanza in Easy Proxy to make sure that all the content is loading properly. And here you can see, in fact, as I highlight, this would be the example of the custom URL that we could set up for your library and college. We also, with the concurrent user licenses, have the ability to generate usage statistics and reports via Google Analytics. And we can have those sent to you via email upon request, be that monthly, quarterly, or annually, so you can see how access to your concurrent user license is going. Speaking of again, with the concurrent user licenses, another question that comes up quite frequently is how to determine how many concurrent seats you need and how that relates to full-time enrollment. So we have tiers established at 10 users, 25, 50, 100, 250, and so on, where you can designate how many users you would anticipate accessing the account at a given time. If you have a 25 user site license and a 26th person attempts to access, they will see an error message that all the seats are currently taken and to come back later and try again. In terms of determining what is the best fit for you, a lot of schools will contact and discuss this with their journalism professors, as AP Stylebook is typically a required book for journalism classes, public relations, and marketing. And if your professors are indicating that they want access for their entire class, let's say 40 people, to take a test, or they're going to be doing study exercises using AP Stylebook Online. If the class is 40, then our 50 user tier is probably a good starting point for you in terms of ensuring that the entire class enrollment has access. And we're happy to work with you if you need to adjust the settings to upgrade to allow more users access. We can do that throughout the school year, not just when you make the initial purchase. So those are some ways I would recommend determining what would be the best fit for your organization. Another important thing with colleges and universities is accessibility. And we do have online our VPAT set up, indicating the features that are available on our website and how they work within an accessibility template. The good news with apstylebook.com is we're not using Flash or other plug-in type features for the web browser. And as Colleen noted with the pronunciation guide, we do have MP3 audio files of the pronunciations, and we utilize cookies and JavaScript. But beyond that, there aren't any elaborate programs such as Flash that sometimes cause problems with accessibility. We also have a high resolution component to, or the web page is very has great contrast, and so if someone has limited visibility or limited sight, they can work with our site quite well due to the contrast. And then just lastly, I would say we also do, we're well aware that colleges and universities work with procurement teams, and we're happy to work to establish vendor applications and any of those purchasing type programs that we would need to get properly established with your university. And by contacting us directly, my email address is chris@stylebooks.com. Feel free to reach out to me, and we can certainly help you to get set up and have this set up as in your vendor program. So another thing I wanted to show just quickly is how you can create a quote and how you can set up to place an order that your procurement team could then go ahead and place. So if we go to our homepage for the store, you can see AP Stylebook listed here, as well as the spiral bound book and our other software, including our style checking tools, which work within Microsoft Word, Outlook, and today's web browsers. And we also provide quizzes as a separate product as well. But zeroing in on AP Stylebook Online, if we go to that page, we provide a shopping assistant which will help to determine the best product for you. So for example, let's say at your library, you anticipate needing up to 50 users to have concurrent access at a given time. You can select that from the pull down. Question number 2, we can include access to Webster's New World College Dictionary with your subscription. And with that, then when you perform a search, as Colleen did earlier, results from Webster's would be fed into the page right along with the AP Stylebook content from Ask the Editors, the pronunciation guide, and the topical guides. So for the sake of this exercise, I'm going to leave that checked, indicating that we do want access to Webster's. And by the way, it costs just a bit more to include Webster's access. Question 3, do you work for a news organization that is a member of the Associated Press? We do provide discounts to Associated Press members, but for the sake, again, of this exercise, I'm going to leave that as a no. And then we can also offer a first-year discount for automatic renewals if you decide, you and your procurement team decide to keep a card on file to avoid the hassle of having to manually renew each year. We'd like to offer you a discount for doing that. And then lastly, the question that relates mostly to the college libraries would be, as opposed to a named user site license, where each person would have their own login. Again, we've found that college libraries overwhelmingly prefer the concurrent user license. So I will select that and then click Find My Stylebook, and it gives you a recommendation for the 50 concurrent user subscription. It indicates a cost per user, which is actually lower than the cost of the book. We then have also the total cost, what it would be, including your first year discount. And then you have an option, you can send an email to your procurement team with a copy of this quote, or another alternative too, if you're ready to go to purchase, you can add it directly to your shopping cart. And from the shopping cart, we have a couple other options. Certainly you can proceed to checkout if you are ready to go ahead and make the purchase. But if you want a more formalized quote that you can send to your procurement team, you can request a price quote. And by clicking on that, you can then add in the name of your procurement officer, their email address, and a short note. And you can then send that, and then a copy of the quote, as you set it up in the shopping assistant, will be sent to your procurement officer including a PDF attachment, which then they can click through and place the order for what you're looking for as well. So it's a pretty straightforward system in terms of setting up and placing an order for your concurrent user license. We should also note, just for clarity, the subscriptions are annual and can be renewed online once everything has been set up from there. Typically, in most states, digital subscriptions are tax exempt, but we're aware that many or most colleges and universities are tax exempt to begin with. And so within the shopping checkout phase of the ordering process, you can also include your tax exempt ID to properly ensure that tax is not charged on your order. So Colleen, I think that covers what I wanted to talk to everyone about today. Would you like to take it over from here?
Yeah, there was just one thing that occurred to me that I thought we should address, and that's the terms and conditions of Stylebook Online. We get a lot of questions from universities and from college libraries about state jurisdiction. Now we're way down in the weeds on how this works, but because so many people ask, I want to make sure that if this is something your procurement office asks about, that you can say that you've already taken care of it. We have a specification in here that if there's ever any dispute, that it's covered by New York law, but we also understand that particularly for state-owned colleges and universities, you're often required to have your contracts be governed by your home state. So there's an exemption in there that says if you are an institution of higher learning, that we're happy to allow your home state to govern. I'm happy to report that I've been working on AP Stylebook since 2006, and so far so good. This has been purely hypothetical legal conflict for us thus far. I hope to keep it that way, but I know you need to make sure that your lawyers are happy. So we've got that in the terms and conditions, and you can find those online if you need to send that along with the quote to anybody for review before you're able to make your purchase. I think that covers it today. It doesn't look like we have any questions, but if you think of anything afterwards, you're absolutely welcome to email either one of us. My email is C, the letter C, Newvine, N-E-W-V as in Victor, I-N-E, @ap.org. And again, Chris is chris@stylebooks.com. And Chris, anything else before we sign off?
No, I think that covers it. I can't think of anything else, but if anyone has any other questions, one thing I would note, we're hoping to provide a video of this presentation available, a video online. And so if you have colleagues who weren't able to attend today's webinar, we can provide a link, hopefully, so that they can watch this at their leisure.
Great. Well, thanks so much for your time, and let us know if we can be of any help.
Thanks, everyone. Goodbye.